Hello everyone. So has anybody heard of that fan game Sonic Smackdown? For people who don't know, it's a Sonic fighting fan game developed by a team of people called Arc Forge, if I'm pronouncing that right. If you've been around the internet, especially YouTube, you've definitely seen this game getting some attention. Now, a while back, Arc Forge wanted Sega to endorse this game so it could be official. I totally agree that this game should be an official spin-off game in the near future because, one, if Sega can improve Sonic Mania, they can definitely improve this game. 2. Fighting games are super popular nowadays, especially now that there are fighting game tournaments that get mainstream attention. 3. It's been a while since we had a Sonic fighting game. Now, I will just share my ideas for this game if it ever gets approved by Sega. So let's begin. Now, if you look at this roster for this game, I think it's great. First off, there's more than 15 characters, which is a starter. And secondly, there's a better selection of characters that will make you anxious to play them. Now, this is going to become more of who I want to be added to the roster. I picked characters that represent different reception from the fans, so you will definitely see some characters that you might despise, which is fine. The reason I'm including said fighters is because a good roster celebrates both the good and the bad. I will also explain what their ultimate attack should be as well. However, let's start with some returning characters that I want to see in this game, which are Bean, Bark, and Fang. They were in Sonic the Fighters, and a fighting game will be a great comeback for these three. I don't think Ray has a strong enough moveset to come up with, but I do think he could be implemented into Mighty's moveset as an assist. Okay, let's start with new characters that I want in this game.
Here comes a new challenger!
I'm sorry, I never got to say.
Amy! Knuckles!
One by one, your friends are falling. Soon, you will be all alone.
Zavok. I know that Zavok is not a popular character amongst the fan base. However, I feel like including him is somewhat mandatory because I feel like Sega loves him so much. And he has a good potential to be a good heavyweight fighter. His skills will most likely be delivering very hard punches and spitting fireballs. Heck, maybe he can use his horns to thrust himself towards his opponent or summon a few badniks to his arsenal. His super should be that all the Deadly Six beats his opponent up with their special arsenal, like Zaz on his moon and Zom with his owl. Zavok's Mecha Dragon will carry his beating opponent to the sky as Zavok enlarges himself. Finally, Zavok will breathe a huge fireball onto the dragon, which then explodes along with his opponent.
Here comes a new challenger!
That's not fair. I ran all the way over here. And you haven't left an impression. I don't know anything about you, not even your name.
You may call me Infinite in the brief moments that remain to you.
Infinite. Here's another villain on the list. Now again, a very infamous villain, but this game could do him justice. Unlike Zavok, he'll be a pretty fast character and can make some quick combos. Infinite does mess with virtual reality, so he should have attacks based on that. I am talking about those cubes he sends out which can cause his opponents to be stunned. He can also quickly summon clones of Shadow, Chaos, Metal, and Zavok to do an assist attack. One thing I would love to see is Infinite using that sword from the comics telekinetically at his opponent. For his super, he should send his opponent to no space where they be surrounded by 4 of those monstrous clones of Infinite. Then they lift their hands up together and summon the sun. The infinity symbol appears on the sun with Infinite monologuing to his opponent about how he senses dread in them. Pretty much acting like Sephiroth, I don't know. Finally, his clone throws the sun at the opponent with the whole no space exploding.
Here comes a new challenger!
Somebody's here?
Woo! And ow! Woo and ow!
Tango. Now we have an IDW comic book character. With Tango and Whisper being in Sonic Force's speed battle, I think Sega wouldn't mind too much on letting her in this fighting game. Tango, like others on the roster, is very acrobatic and athletic, so she can be great for quick combos. Also, she can use her tail for follow-up attacks and grabs. If anything, just be creative with her tail. For her super, I think that she should use that attack she did with Sonic back in issue 24 of IDW series, where she stretches her tail around the area and then she comes back to kick her opponent in the face. However, this time there won't be help from Sonic, understandably.
Here comes a new challenger!
I saved their planet from Eggman a while back. Long story. I guess that left an impression.
Whisper.
Cool.
Okay, but why?
No, genius. Whisper is her name.
Whisper the Wolf, another IDW character. Whisper, unlike Tango, wouldn't rely on punches and kicks. She will obviously rely on her wrist bomb, which has the wrist from her fallen members of her team, the Diamond Cutters. Obviously, her attacks should be based off the custom hero abilities from Sonic Forces, which makes sense because she was inspired by them. For her super, she should have her own version of Sonic's Final Color Blaster from Sonic Colors, but instead, Whisper uses her wrist bomb. Before she pulls more power from her wrist bomb and finishes her attack, we see the spirits of her teammates behind her to push her on. Think of the father-son Kamehameha from Dragon Ball Z.
Here comes a new challenger!
Nice to meet you. She seems nice.
Styx the Badger. Somewhat a fan favorite, we have Styx from the Sonic Boom universe. Hey, I said that we should celebrate almost every side of Sonic. Also, I want someone that can be seen as the gag character of the roster. Now for Styx, she should be someone quick and agile since she was super crazy. I would like for her attacks to be based around her survival instincts and her homemade weapons like her boomerang. For her super, I feel like she can put her opponent in a trash can just to reflect the comedic side of the Boom universe. Like, just imagine her doing it to Mecha Sonic of all people.
Here comes a new challenger!
Heavy King, the only classic villain that I want on this list. Now, he should have his attacks from his base form and his final form, the Phantom King. He does incorporate all of the hardboiled heaviest attacks like using Astrons from the Heavy Shinobi or the Bazooka from the Heavy Gunner. I honestly don't know what he could have as his super, but I can't imagine him transforming into Phantom King with the power of the Phantom Ruby and crushing his opponents with his arms.
Here comes a new challenger!
Sonic the Werehog. Yeah, it's another Sonic, but there are several reasons why I think he'd be a great addition to the roster. The Werehog has so many moves to pull from Unleashed, and I think he'd be a great heavyweight fighter as an opposite to his daytime self. Speaking of that, while Sonic does transform into the Werehog at night, this is a fighting game, so they don't have to make a night version of every stage in the game. His super should be his finisher on the Edge Dragoon from Sonic Unleashed.
Here comes a new challenger!
Mephiles, the last character that I want in the base game, and it's Mephiles the Dark. I feel like that since he's one of the greatest villains in the franchise, he should be added to the roster. He should bring all of his moves from Sonic 06. I would love it if he uses his monstrous form momentarily to do some punches and kicks like Bayonetta from Smash. His super is that he blinds his opponent then impales them like how he did Sonic in Sonic 06. But this time, the laser beam is larger than before. Also, if his opponent is very low on health and he does this attack, he legitimately kills him. That is all the characters I want in the base game, so let's move on to the DLC. Now, I think this game deserves DLC because, well, it's a fighting game. You gotta have that these days. Now, I'm gonna share my ideas for a first season pass for what DLC characters I would love to see. Honey the Cat, the only missing Sonic the Fighters rep, and she now sports her redesign from the RG Comics. She's great for quick combos, and she'll be a very flashy character where she loves a spotlight due to her modeling career from the comics. Tails Doll, an old internet meme in disguise of a villain. I feel like it would be cool that he plays off being the creepy character from the comics. His moves are taken from many fighters from the game, but creepified. Also, it'd be nice to give Tails his own adversary. Jet the Hawk, A unique character because he uses his extreme gear for most of his attacks. It would be nice to have someone from a spin-off game and have one of Sonic rivals who doesn't rely on his own speed, but technology. Nozzle the Hedgehog. Okay, hear me out. If we're gonna have Mecha Sonic for Super Mario Bros. Z, you gotta have Nozzle. He's just as an iconic villain as Mecha Sonic when it comes to fan-made villains. Sally Acorn. She deserves a spot if Tango and Whisper gets in the base roster. Also, in my honest opinion, she's one of the most iconic and well-known Sonic characters to the general audience. Now, Sonic Smackdown has a lot of stages from Sonic's history, and I just want to add some ideas for potential stages in this game. Here they go. A cool thing I want the stages to have is stage transitions like Injustice. Let's say you're fighting on Green Hill. You fight normally on the original version of Green Hill, but if you hit your opponent with a strong punch to the far right, they go through that tunnel and then they end up in the manual version of Green Hill. Now this game already has a lot of detail when it comes to alternate costumes or colors, but I do want to bring up just a few things. I feel like Beam, Bark, Fang, Mighty, and Ray's default skins should be their Archie designs just to blend in with everyone else. Mecha Sonic definitely needs his sprite look just to sell the nostalgia part of Super Mario Bros. Z. I want the intros in this game to be somewhat quick and flashy, something that shows the character's personality. Also, I love if the opponents make note of who they're fighting, kind of like Mortal Kombat and Injustice. Now let's talk about special intros. These intros only can be activated by specific conditions. For example, let's say you're playing as Sonic, you pick Shadow as your opponent, and the stage you decide to fight on is the Space Colony Arc. If you do that, the special intro will be a homage to the Sonic Generations rival Shadow cutscene. We also have special outros where if certain conditions are met, we get a cool outro to the fight. These are inspired by Dragon Ball FighterZ dramatic finishes. I made up a few examples of Sonic Smackdown's dramatic finishes. The music in this game is really good and the remixes are really outstanding, and this game also has songs that represent a character. And since some of the fighters that I want in this game did not originate from a Sonic game, I picked songs that would fit them. After all, it's just a suggestion. Here you go. Finally, the hype around this game. It's a fighting game in the modern age of gaming, focusing on the universe of Sonic. I mean, I would love for this game to be at fighting game tournaments, which would be awesome. Also, seeing what character we'll get in the roster upon waiting for the game, base or DLC wise, will be extremely hype. The trailers for the new fighters will be great and awesome and epic, I don't know. Honestly, this game should have happened years ago, but maybe one day Sega will see the work on this fan game and actually make it official.